Alright, so this is basically going to be a speed video of me just making some simple mother of pearl stud earrings. A lot of this technique is going to be the same as when I'm making my rings, but I will be covering two different methods for soldering the posts to the backs of the earrings, and that information is going to happen right around the 4-minute mark, so feel free to skip ahead to that if that's what you're interested in learning about. Otherwise, it is going to be a lot of the same techniques, starting with filing these bezels flush around the stone so that they're nice and snug. One thing I will say about working with stones this small is they are much less forgiving. I find that with bigger stones you can have a little slack in the bezel. It's not going to affect it as much as with these small stones. You definitely want them to fit snug, but obviously not be too snug that you can't even fit the stones in. I am using a higher percentage of silver solder for these bezels than I will be for the posts later on, so I'm using just easy solder here and then extra easy when I put the posts on. I did just buy some more hard and medium solder, so I'll be using that in the future, but just for this video I was only using easy and extra easy. So when we're getting ready to draw the outline for the base of these earrings, you don't need a lot of extra. You pretty much just need enough that you're going to saw it out and be able to fit the bezel on there and solder it to it. There's not any rope or bead adornments, so after you solder it, you're just going to be filing it flush to the bezel anyway. You saw that out, and then I went ahead and stamped the 925 purity indicator, flattened it out afterwards to make sure that it was a nice level surface, and then you're ready to solder. What's nice about things this small is the solder is generally going to flow all the way around without you really needing to fuss with it. Just kind of touch it once and then it's done. So use some nice flush cutters, get the excess there, and then you'll use whatever files you have to go around and use a rotating motion to follow the curve of those earrings when you end up filing. You'll see that in a second here. I mean, after I file them, I do end up hitting them with the fiber wheel just to give it a really nice smooth finish. My file is a little bit coarse, and I feel like this is the best way to get rid of any of the seams and make it look like one continuous piece of silver as much as is possible. You might still have some little divots where oxidation and polish is going to get caught, but that's alright. It's part of the handmade charm. There are two different methods of soldering posts to the back of earrings that I use, and I'm going to use one of each in this video. On the post that is furthest to the right, I'm going to place a piece of solder on the back of the earring, and the other one on the left, I'm going to be soldering it by hand the way that I would have soldered the bezel or anything else. So the first thing I want to do is make sure, one, that the post is facing the right direction so that it will lock with the earring nut, and then I'm going to place it with a reverse action tweezer and just real light heat here because you don't want to melt the post, and just a simple touch should be enough to make it float. The second one, I'm going to be holding the post in the tweezer. It looks like I'm holding solder. Again, it's real quick. You just heat it to the point that it's liquid and stick your post in and it should attach. At this point, I will pickle, oxidize it with my Winox. With simple earrings like these and stones this small, it doesn't make sense to have really high silver bezels, so I'm going to go ahead and lower those just to make them sit nice and flush. It just looks a little nicer to have a lower profile. Just go around on the fiber wheel, make it even all the way around. And I'm actually going to set the stones in these earrings before I polish them. The reason being is after they are set, I'm going to go take them back over to the fiber wheel and hit all around the edges where I just bezeled, just to kind of clean it up and give it a nice look. What's tricky about earrings is getting a good grip that you are able to press the burnishing tool around the bezel. As you can see, I try to use my reverse action tweezers. That's not a good way to do it. And then I switched to pliers, and that worked a little bit better. You do have to be careful though, because it is very easy to snap these posts off when you're applying as much force as you need to close a bezel. But this one happened without incident, so I'm happy with that. Once I get those bezels closed, as I was saying, I'm going to go over to the grinding wheel and hit the edges of the bezel that I just closed. Try not to hit the stone. It just gives it a nice, rounder, more finished look. And then I'm going to hit it with the polish, which I'm using Zam, to give it the nice shine, which will hide any of the marks from this rougher wheel. It is very easy to lose the ring. I actually lost one while I was filming this. The wheel ripped it right out of my hand. It's so small, it's hard to get a good grip on it. So be careful with that. And here's the finished product.